It feels amazing.
A sports legend is born at Skyview High School, the last-minute shot that won them a state title. Plus, they thought they had no chance to graduate, but they were wrong.
It's very important to me. School is very important to me.
How a new program is helping kids not only get through high school, but also have a chance at college. Plus, highlights from the annual Paddy Hough Parade. With an improbable buzzer-beating three-pointer, Skyview wins the 4A state title. Hello and welcome to In the Know. I'm Coleen Nelson. For the first time in school history, the Skyview Storm Girls Basketball team wins it all. As Nick Vole reports, everything had to come together just right.
It was all smiles at Skyview High School after the girls basketball team knocked off Central Valley High School to win the 4A state championship. But a couple days earlier at the Tacoma Dome, with the score tied with just 14 seconds left, things were a bit more tense.
There was no panic. It was just like, you know, you have to let these kids play.
When we were all on the court, we just knew that we had to stay together and work together and keep calm and know that, you know, just to stay focused and not give up.
I never felt doubt that like we couldn't do it.
We drew up a play, you know, go execute it, girls. If it doesn't work, play basketball.
It's Wardell for the win! Skyview state champs!
Oh my!
Join the dog pile!
It felt good when I let it go, so once it went in, it took me a second to realize that time's up, we had won. I started jumping and then I went and hugged her and kind of took her to the ground, and then we just kind of all dog piled on top of each other. Yeah, it kind of hurt, but it felt good at the same time.
Looking back, it's pretty amazing to see how they got to that moment.
We had a, I don't know if you call it magic.
Yeah, magic. That about sums it up. How else could you explain a run to the championship that included a late game rally and a buzzer beater, and that the biggest shot of all came from a player who had missed her first 10 attempts?
I don't really think I thought much of oh, I missed my other shots. I need to do this better. I need to get more arc. I just kind of let it go.
The ball was this close to the basket. I could tell it was going in, and I was like, it's going in, it's going in.
A dramatic way to end it, but it was fun.
Incredibly, Aubrey Wardell's game winner was the second time in the tournament Skyview won on a last-second shot. In the quarterfinals, Stephanie McDonough hit a three-pointer with 4 seconds left to give Skyview the win. Late game heroics aside, the players and coach say that hard work and team chemistry won them the state title. And now that they have it, they can reflect on what they've accomplished.
It's a really cool feeling. I mean, you know, not many people can say that they've ever done that. And
it's still shocking for me to think about it. I'm really proud of us, and I think our school is proud of us too.
For In the Know, I'm Nick Vole.
This was the second time a Skyview team duked it out in the Tacoma Dome for a state title. In December, the football team lost in the championship game to Skyline High School. Vancouver Public Schools is the only district on the entire West Coast to get a national honor. It's been chosen to join the League of Innovative Schools by the U.S. Department of Education. Just 35 school districts around the country were picked. This prestigious association of schools is part of President Obama's education agenda. The districts will work together to promote educational innovation and are partnering with entrepreneurs and researchers to boost student achievement. Congress's newly created education center called Digital Promise oversees the league. This is, of course, an election year, and Vancouver Public Schools are working hard to educate future voters. And they got a big hand from the Washington Secretary of State.
And if they're going to operate the state of Washington, they have to file articles of incorporation with my office.
Sam Reed visited 3 high schools to encourage students to register to vote. We caught up with him at Hudson's Bay High School, speaking to a room full of students. And although some voters feel that Olympia sometimes forgets about Vancouver, Secretary Reed urged residents of Southwest Washington to get involved.
You know, this part of the state has, as much impact as others do, and decisions made about K through 12, higher education, clearly transportation because of your bridge situation here and everything, and so it is very important that people in southwestern Washington continue to be deeply engaged in Washington state politics.
To drive the point home, Secretary Reed's staff conducted an exercise to demonstrate how few of us vote and make decisions about the direction of our state. Secretary Reed is not running for re-election, so this wasn't part of a campaign stop. Secretary Reed also visited Columbia River and Skyview High Schools, where the election season is a big topic for social studies teachers. Students in one Skyview classroom held their own caucus just days before the Republican Party held the real one in our state. Teacher Paula Winter divided the students up the same way they would be in real election, by zip code. Coincidentally, one group was all guys and one girl, while the other was all girls and one guy. Although the room was divided politically, students had to debate the merits of each GOP candidate and cast their votes. Mrs. Winter hopes their discussions will spur the students to not only make their voices heard, but to listen when others are speaking.
And we always talk about how important compromise is and how that's lacking in the current political climate. And frankly, the students are amazed at the immature behavior they see coming out of Washington, D.C. a lot of the times.
The students we spoke to told us they plan to vote in November.
You have your freedom and you get to vote for you, and it's not for your parents, and you have your own outlook on everything.
But we have the right to pick and the issues that we want to talk about or what we think should be changed, so I think we should voice our own opinions.
Because it decides kind of the future of the country, you know. Every 4 years is really important, and so if you don't put your vote in, it's kind of not caring about your future.
In the real Washington State Caucus, Mitt Romney won. In Mrs. Winter's class, Ron Paul got the nomination. It's been a cold and wet spring, and we even had a snow delay in March, which is pretty rare. The weather got in the way for all of us, but it couldn't stop the Paddy Hough Parade. With police officers and fire department bagpipers leading the way, Vancouver's annual salute to Paddy Hough rolled down Main Street. Despite a wild week of weather,
snow for the first time in Parade Week. We've had hail, we've had wind, we've had rain.
Parade participants and spectators stayed dry and happy.
It never rains on our parade.
The Paddy Hough Parade honors who else? Paddy Hough, an Irish immigrant who was crucial in the early years of public education in Vancouver.
This parade is just steeped in history.
And after 21 years of parades, that history is not limited to Paddy Hough's exploits.
I have young families, I mean, that just, they were young adults, then they get married, and then they have their children, and they can't wait to march in the parade. And so I'm watching kids growing up that watch the parade on Main Street that are anxious to be in the parade, and we have several that are like that.
A group of judges sit and watch as students march past.
Each classroom's represented, and they're so excited, and they have a theme, and they're all so proud to be marching in the parade.
2012, Vancouver is the 4th largest city in Washington.
Old cars, local businesses, and community groups all get their turn in the spotlight. And what's a parade without music? The Hough Youth Escola de Samba played Brazilian percussion, and the Discovery Middle School marching band wowed the crowd.
I love the little kids watching in amazement of all the instruments and smiling and laughing.
And it's so nice to see their happy faces, and everybody gets to march in a parade and participate. It's just a really, really fun day.
Vancouver Public Schools television studio produced a full half-hour special on the parade. See every float, classroom demonstration, classic car, and band. The special, hosted by Nick Vole and Elena Buller, is airing right now on Comcast channels 28 and 29 and is also on the district's YouTube page. That's youtube.com/VanSDTV. It's a huge milestone for Washington Elementary. The neighborhood landmark turns 100 this year. There are no candles to blow out, but Washington staff put up a nice display at the front of the school with pictures from Washington's long history. This is the 3rd building Washington has called home, with multiple generations walking through its halls. Barb Graves has been at Washington for 22 years. She says people are getting a real kick out of seeing all of the old photos.
And I have seen different parents coming by, that's my uncle, or that's my, so it's a starting block for conversation and stuff. And I don't, we tell the kids about it, but I don't think they really understand it as much as the staff and the families, the parents that are coming in enjoy it that much more.
If you'd like to see the pictures, just stop by Washington Elementary and just make sure you check in at the front desk. Chinook Elementary is about to celebrate its own milestone. This fall, it's turning 20. In preparation, students and staff, along with an artist in residence, created murals. And although the artists came in with some concepts, the students got to contribute their ideas to leave their mark on the school. The centerpiece mural is a giant apple tree. Each apple has a special message.
They wrote these words. I mean, it was their idea, but it's their handwriting. They're very empowered by that. I mean, they really feel like it's a part of not only the Chinook culture, but a part of them, and they share it with their families.
Teacher Linda Weir has been at the school since it opened 20 years ago and has now seen the children of her former students come through Chinook. She wrote the grants that got the funds to pay for this project and helped oversee its execution. For kids on the brink of dropping out, it can feel like they just don't have any options. But at Hudson's Bay High School, students are getting a second chance at reaching graduation. It's called the Academy, and it's a way for students who are way behind in their classwork to catch up. Oftentimes, these students face significant problems at home, so keeping a normal schedule isn't possible. The Academy shifts their work later in the day, keeping students at school until 5 p.m. and using computer-driven classes, they're able to make up credits more quickly. We spoke with some of the students who are finding success in the program.
I kind of was homeless, going from couch to couch, and not having a stable place to actually get my homework done, do my homework.
I had no chance of graduation really. I was missing 4 credits because when my grandma had passed away, I took it sort of hard, so I wound up failing 4 classes in 1 semester.
I was in a spot where I felt like I wanted to drop out, and there was nowhere else for me to go.
The Academy is a program that was created for students who were credit deficient, significantly credit deficient. A lot of them didn't have hope of graduating, so they were going to other alternative programs, but then they weren't having the support that they had from the faculty at Bay. So they were coming back here for support, but it was difficult to support them when they weren't within our building. And so creating a program that was within the building context so that they still had those relationships but also could make up their credits was kind of the premise behind starting the Academy.
Now that I heard about the Academy, it's gotten me so far. I could finally worry about going to college, graduating on time.
Even though I don't got a place to stay, I can still, try to get my grades boosted up or, credits, or whatever. And so basically, Academy, stepped in and did a lot for me to keep coming to school, no matter about my living situation. So
a lot of people in here know what I've been through, so they understand what it means for me to be pushing so hard. And I like being in this class because there's a lot of kids who need help that don't know how to ask, and I like helping people also.
This is, for a lot of them, the first time they've really been successful in school in a long time. So instead of being the kid that's behind, they're the kid that knows what's going on, and it's also a safe environment because they're all on the same playing field.
The Academy is new to Bay this year. School administrators say they're pleased with how well it's gone and that they're proud of the students who are pulling themselves up for graduation. Horticulture students at Hudson's Bay High School switch roles and become the teachers. They hosted a vermicomposting workshop for the public.
We're making vermicomposting bins, and that is, instead of letting your food compost by itself, you have worms do it for you.
The students gave a brief presentation on how vermicomposting works, and then everyone built their own worm bins. So why worms?
They make this wonderful nutrient-rich composting called humus. And if you put that in your plants, your household plants, or your outside trees, shrubs, it really gives them that boost because it's full of the essential nutrients.
For people who shy away from worms, don't worry. The humus can be purchased at Hudson's Bay's plant sales. Students at Chinook Elementary get a fun lesson in music and friendship from a very special guest.
Just be yourself, you're something special.
Third graders got to spend the day with singer and songwriter Steve Seskin together in just a few hours. They wrote a song that they performed for their classmates at the end of the day. This is an annual visit from Steve, whose message is friendship and inclusion. It's his mission to stop school bullying, and he knows how powerful music can be.
If there's a kid out there who wasn't feeling really able to be themselves all the time, or was trying to do everything they could to fit in with the in crowd, maybe this song will change their mind and, get them to realize that who they are is the best person they can be.
A song Steve wrote a few years ago called Don't Laugh at Me, which was recorded by country singer Mark Wills, has become part of anti-bullying curriculum around the country. Steve has visited hundreds of schools creating original songs with the kids, spreading his message. You can hear them on his website, steveseskin.com. And if you'd like to hear the original song created by Steve and Chinook students, stay tuned after this episode of In the Know. It's also on our YouTube page. A local radio station recognizes 2 outstanding educators from Vancouver Public Schools.
K103 Friday morning. Every Friday, we love Fridays because we get a chance to meet a teacher of the week.
K103 FM honors a local educator every week, and recently they picked Becky Cornell, who teaches at Lincoln Elementary. Just a couple of weeks later, they chose John Griffin, Associate Principal and Athletic Director at Fort Vancouver High School. Becky was nominated by a parent, and John was nominated by a coworker. They were both interviewed on The Morning Show.
What is something that you want your kids to take with them when they graduate to first grade?
My main thing is that above academics, my main thing is coming out with the love of learning and the love of respecting others. Respect is a huge thing that I portray in my classroom. And we role play and this just the joy of learning, that school is fun and that learning is fun. And those 2 things are huge for me.
I found it so cool that you started a glee club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I don't know. I kind of take a little bit of a paternalistic school or view of the school, kind of the father kind of figure. And so we didn't have the numbers necessarily for a choir this year, so I don't know. It just seems like a school ought to have a group singing. So,
for being selected, both John and Becky received gift cards to buy classroom supplies, Sunday brunch aboard the Portland Spirit, and a crystal apple. To hear their entire interview, just go to K103.com and look for Educator of the Week. John Griffin is getting a lot of recognition these days. He was also featured on KATU Channel 2 in their Everyday Heroes segment.
Our everyday hero this week didn't just start any high school club. He created a group aimed at turning troubled students into gentlemen and ladies. John Griffin followed his own advice 6 years ago when he took some students at Fort Vancouver High School under his wing.
Mr. Griffin's mentoring program with boys and girls at Fort Vancouver impacts a lot of lives, and for that, he was named an everyday hero. To see the full story, just go to KATU.com and search for the words Griffin and hero, and it will be the first story that pops up. Students in pajamas line the halls of Harney Elementary School.
Our school is, we're doing a thing called a Readathon, and it raises money for our school.
Students got comfortable with blankets and pillows, then quickly got down to business. They spent the morning reading as many pages as they could in 1 hour. Each page read was worth $1 in pledges.
I'm going to try and go for about 150 to 200. Well, my highest is 92, so I'm trying to get past that now that I'm in a higher grade.
You can just feel the excitement as the kids are reading and teachers and staff are reading along with the kids.
The goal was to reach $1,000. The money raised will go to purchase new books for the school. That's just about it for us. And remember, you can see a lot more news from Vancouver Public Schools on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/VanSDTV. For In the Know, I'm Coleen Nelson.